Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here sharing the topic of critical chain with you. And I thought I would start the presentation by sharing some quotes that came out of Gartner recently, just a few months ago in April. And the first one is like many concepts, critical chain was ahead of its time. However, with the proliferation of digitization and the shortage of technical resources, the world may very well be ready for critical chain. And a couple things to highlight here, a couple things that are interesting to highlight is that Gartner indicates that the world may very well be ready. That kind of indicates that critical chain has been established for a good period of time, and that's true. Critical chain methods were first introduced by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ellie Goldratt in a book called Critical Chain in 1997. Then companies have adopted the methodology. There have been some barriers to that. And what Gartner is indicating here is that there is definitely positive momentum for companies to be able to utilize and to capitalize on the methods that are described. And I hope that I can, over the course of this presentation, show you why Gartner feels that way. The other quote that I thought was interesting from Gartner was, anyone who is working on projects and is concerned about on-time delivery should care about critical chain. Therefore, those who should care include CIOs, PMO leaders, portfolio managers, program managers, and project managers. Most of you on the call today, or most of you watching this presentation, fit that category. You're someone who's interested in what's happening with the project delivery within your organization. What I want to call out also is that chain fits within a larger framework called the theory of constraints. And we definitely don't have enough time during this presentation to get into a lot of the details of the theory of constraints, or you might hear it called TOC. But that first proposed or developed the solutions within TOC, and he authored a book called The Goal. And any of you who have an MBA or who have worked on an MBA, you probably came across the book The Goal. It's a book that is used very frequently within many universities in their MBA programs. And as I work with clients, I find numerous senior managers who indicate the book The Goal is one of their favorite business books of all time. And in addition to those people that I come in contact with on a regular basis, there's some other folks who are fairly well known, who also have similar sentiments about the theory of constraints methods. One, Red Hat CEO Jim Whitehurst. He referred to the book The Goal as his favorite business book ever. And then another person is Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. He had his executive team read 3 particular books a couple years ago as they were establishing some strategy for the future. And one of those books was the book The Goal. The other 2, for awareness, would be The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker and The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. But the fact that the book The Goal is such a book by many senior executives shows you the power of the results that they've been able to achieve by implementing some of the methods. And critical chain is the theory of constraints applied to project management. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of background about where critical chain came from. And again, I'll share the methods with you today. So one thing I'd like to ask, and not so much on this particular slide, but I'd like to say that for those of you on the live webinar and not watching this after the fact, I'd like to have you provide some input through the instant messaging feature within WebEx. So I might pose some questions to you, and if you can use the instant messaging feature, feel free to jump in and just share a thought or two. And I'll ask more specific questions later on, but one thing I'll ask right now is, do you have these problems within your organizations or on your projects? And the list here is low team morale, delivery dates, excessive project durations, which tend to reduce our return on our investment, multitasking, uncertainty in task estimates, and high amounts of work in progress. When I give this presentation in front of a live audience at a conference, I can see heads nodding very, very adamantly. Here, I can't see that. I can't get that feedback from you, but I suspect that many of you are in that situation where you have some of these problems within your projects or your organizations. These are some of the problems that critical chain works to address. So I hope I can tie it all together for you and show you how the critical chain methods can help you in these areas. Statistics that are out there, and these are a few years old, but still very consistent with I think a pattern we've seen over the years. And this is the Standish Group Chaos Report from 2012, and it shows what projects are experiencing in the ways of shortcomings in scope, schedule, and budget, and how projects still are failing to achieve success as defined by their key stakeholders. Call out here specifically is schedule overruns. And the reason why I call this out specifically is that I think you'll see today how the critical chain techniques really focus on improving our schedule and our on-time delivery of projects. And the interesting thing is that the other two components of what we might still refer to as the triple constraint, the other two components, budget and scope, will follow suit. So critical chain, even though sometimes you might hear of critical chain as a scheduling mechanism, and certainly there is some component to critical chain related to scheduling, no doubt about that. But critical chain is much more than just a scheduling mechanism. It helps us with our success on our projects, because what we tend to see a lot of times is something like this. And again, people, I'd love to have the audience feel free to chime in with an instant message if that's possible. I'm not even sure if it's enabled. I believe it is. But you probably see this quite often in your organizations where compromise has become the norm. And you can have scope, schedule, and budget, but you can only pick two. Which two are most important to you? Which one can we throw away and disregard? And that happens too often, and I think it's because project managers and those who are interested in the project delivery within organizations feel like they have no choice. They have to drop something, because having all three of those, as expected, is impossible. Critical chain, you can deliver without compromise. And that's one of the benefits, is that you can deliver with schedule, budget, and scope, and not have to compromise on those, not have to drop scope when the project is about ready to come in late, just in order to try to be on time. We've all seen that probably, where a decision is made, let's cut scope just so we can make our date. Or maybe we throw a lot of money at a project and blow our budget just so we can improve the schedule, or so that we can add new features that were never planned for previously. We've all seen where something within our projects will be sacrificed for the greater good of the other items. But with critical chain, I think you'll see that we can make compromises.